you could smell the aroma out here. This basil is just incredible this time of year. The warmer the temperatures, the more aromatic this plant seems to be. You know, basil's one of the easiest herbs you can grow. You can see I grow a lot of it. It's sort of an outrageous row of it, but we use a lot of it here at the farm. And what I like about basil is that it continues to produce. The more you cut it, the more it will put out these very fragrant and tasty leaves. Now, if you look closely, you'll see that these plants are already producing a flower spike. Well, I like to keep those cut off. They are beautiful, but it's really not necessary if you want to keep producing lots of basil. So I recommend keeping it cut back. But I'll tell you this, one of the things that I like to do to bring basil in the kitchen because it's so fragrant is I like to cut a bouquet, just as you would flowers. And I just go along like this and gather 6 or 7 stems. And the way to keep it is not in the refrigerator because it doesn't like cold. You see, as soon as temperatures out in the garden begin to drop, the basil leaves will begin to show some browning and they'll begin to curl. So they really do like warm climates. So what I like to do is place these in glass jars or some glass vases and set them around the kitchen. Not only are they beautiful, they're very useful and fragrant. Boy, the aroma is really unbelievable. There are a lot of different varieties of basil. This is the traditional sweet basil, probably the most popular of all the basils, but I also grow a little miniature one called Spicy Globe. Then there's a blue African that has incredibly beautiful flowers. I actually grow it in the flower garden. And then there's purple basil, which is also grown as an ornamental and can be used in the kitchen. Now, when you plant basil, you can plant it from seed, but you want to make sure that the soil is really warm. I plant from seed and from plants. It's much easier to grow from plants that you can pick up at the garden center. And what I like to do is I like to plant successive plantings of basil. So about every 4 weeks I'll start another row of it so that I have it right up until the first frost. Okay, now I want to take you over here on the other side of the garden and show you another herb that is great at all kinds of cooking and certainly on pizzas. Come on. Now take a look at this classic. This is flat-leaf Italian parsley. It's such a beautiful plant, don't you think? Now, what is great about it is it's one of the first herbs that I can plant in the garden because it actually likes cool weather. And I don't plant it from seed. I usually start with the little plants and row it out. But just look how large a plant just one plant makes. And the way you want to harvest it is you want to take the outer stems first, like this. And just go around the outer edge. And if you do this, you continue to have more parsley produced out of the center. You see, like with most herbs, the more you harvest them, the more they continue to produce. You know, this garden really is quite large. In fact, we call it the 1-acre vegetable garden. And we grow all kinds of things here, not only herbs, but tomatoes, cucumbers, squash, blackberries, raspberries, and even sweet potatoes. Now, most of us don't have room or really the inclination to grow sweet potatoes. It takes a lot of space. But you know, if you want to grow some herbs, you don't have to have much room at all. Let me show you what I mean. Come on, let's go to the summer kitchen. Okay, now take a look at this space, much smaller, no doubt. From the post here back to the house, well, you have 8 feet, and the length here, 15 feet. Now, we all have small areas like this, and we probably pass by them every day and go, you know, that's so small, you really can't do much in a space of this size. Well, you really can. Actually, I have about 24 containers planted around here with all sorts of things, everything from roses to herbs. I even have blueberries and strawberries and a container with arugula. And then, of course, what's summer without having a big container of mint for all those delicious drinks? Well, there's just nothing quite like the aroma of mint. It's good. Okay, now let's get back to this idea of space and size. So we've talked about an acre garden, we've talked about this space, which is 8 by 15, and now we're going to even shrink it down a little bit and talk about planting some elements that can go in a pizza in a container that's a 22-inch diameter clay pot, and that's what we have right here. Okay, last week I got this started with this Roma tomato, and what I did is I put a bamboo tripod over it and just wrapped some twine to help give it a little support. It's also kind of decorative. And I've started with a rosemary plant. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add some parsley and some oregano. Okay, I'm going to start by planting some of this parsley. I like starting with little plants. And in these biodegradable pots, all you have to do is place the container in like that. And I like flat leaf Italian parsley to cook with. The curly leaf is good as well, but I use it for more decorative purposes. So there's some flat leaf Italian parsley. And then over here, I'm just making some space for an oregano. And what I love about oregano is that it spills over the edge of the container, so it makes it even more decorative and more attractive to look at. All right, so as you can see, what I have here are 4 plants in this container. They'll get along just fine, but there's some things you need to remember. You want to make sure that this container gets plenty of sun, at least 6 hours of sun a day. And you want to make sure that the soil remains consistently moist. And by using a saucer, that will help you achieve that goal. And the third thing you need to remember is that you're going to have to feed these plants. You've got so many things going on in one container. Regular feeding, a dilute solution every time you water of an all-purpose liquid fertilizer makes a lot of sense. You know, what I love about a setup like this is that it's so close to the kitchen. So you walk in and out, you smell these amazing aromas, and you can cut whatever you need. It's very, very handy. I have to say that this time of year, the terrace garden down here on the west end is one of my favorite places to hang out. There's so much visual interest between all the herbs and the flowers and the textures and the colors. And sometimes those plants combine. For instance, this one in front of me is a lovely sage called pineapple sage, and it has a red flower and a golden leaf. Its name is Golden Delicious. And if you rub the leaf, it has the distinct aroma of pineapple. So what you get here is beautiful foliage as well as a beautiful flower. Another combination in a single plant is the cinnamon basil. It has a beautiful clean green leaf, but a dark purple spike, and it looks so good against that burgundy colored Coleus. And then 2 plants that just seem to work so well together is Dipt wine Coleus with purple fountain grass. Those are just a few of the combinations out here. They just are endless. What happens in the spring is I just get out here and start planting lots of different things together. Some are calculated, and then others just happen, and it's kind of fun to observe them through the growing season. You know, this is a very old-fashioned garden. It's a long terrace with beds on each side, and in these big beds are individual raised beds. And through the middle is this lawn, so it gives you an opportunity to step back and look at some of the floral compositions. I just love all of this lantana, for instance, in the center of this space. About a month ago, you could literally walk between the raised beds, and now it's all grown together. You know, I like to get the most out of everything, and that includes plants. Why don't we take a look at some creative and decorative ways that you can use plants before you actually get them planted into the garden? Come on.